Oh, one more. Now this one, the other one got cut off because the battery ran off and the internet went off and I had to, well, so this one is kind of important because in this one, I'm going to speak about where MITI is in our stages of development. Now, I have mentioned about MITI Conscience, like a scheme of things representing kind of what we have discovered over time, and then in a way that we kind of is a physical representation of somebody's idea of business intelligence, maybe, but this is a conscientious intelligence. And we've been seeing things developing over time. We've been updating it. Um, it's a work with the ball format. And it makes sense. I have made a certain representation of it on another video. And then there were a series of videos from there because it's kind of like you have a base. You make a stick drawing, yeah? And then you make a base paint. And then you put layers of colors and it becomes a masterpiece. Now it's not yet a masterpiece, but there are layers, and fine details here and there, and then representing it, I thought, just done and then done. No. And then you recalculate. It's like you do the math again, and then you see some more layers, finer details. It's become math and path. And then I discovered people have been talking about mathematics in terms of arithmetic, algebra, and geometry. But I discovered mathematics itself is math, like arithmetic, algebra, geometry. There is mathematics itself. And then there is mathematics. Why we have pathology? From not knowing mathematics, we have pathology in mathematics, diseased ways of doing things. And so that got very interesting. Yeah, we was thinking we didn't know this, or people didn't know this, don't know this. And so we have what we have from not knowing what we don't know. We kind of try, that seems like obvious. It may seem like I'm repeating myself, but it's like you look at a dot, okay? And then you look at it, you see actually there is some more details around there, and then you figure out, and then you see there are patterns. Yeah, it's kind of you didn't know there was there because you couldn't see it. The obvious was not so obvious. All you could see is what you could see, and then you see something, and then you see a pattern, and you don't know how the patterns are moving. Could be curly lines, it could be dashes and dots, and you go a certain distance. Okay, now figure out something, and it's like, no, there is more. So it's like the fog when it kind of you see some light, and as the fog is clearing, you're saying, "Okay, we got stuff here. Did you know there is this?" It's like that, yeah. So I was thinking, I only have this much. If I tell of this, it'll get over, and then I will be left with nothing. So I was carefully not saying that, or the saying that, not saying that. No. Then it's not getting over. Yeah, it's more like you're not getting it. You can't even feel your nose. Yeah. So let alone you getting this, you can't even feel your nose. And now she's just a dot. Turns out that dot is a center of the Sri Chakra, central dot of the Sri Chakra. And then there's this idea of all things dissolve layer by layer into the dot. But I was thinking, we got a small thing. It's a small, big thing. And how am I going to say this? Yeah. So over time, from figuring out, staring at the same Sri Chakra, kind of. Actually, I was looking at the triangle and the circle, not even the curly lines and the gateway, just the round and the triangle thing. There are 42 there. Yeah. And I've been having this since Bhabna's Institute, Mind Math Institute. Um, I've had just that image since my primary school or so. And okay, that's been kind of interesting. When I shifted house, it was in my cupboard, and at some point I kept it out there. It was all serendipitous, intelligent design. That was all the right time. I felt like doing that. Over time, I've been looking at the same thing, kind of, and then some details, and I've been facilitating health clinically, and then I'm looking at the dot little interestingly. And then I found my own ways of representing basics because people are having pathologics, diseases of all kind, and I pay attention to Hippocrates. oath more carefully, and then you notice the diseases are coming from our everyday livings. People are even standing with guns in the borders, terrorists and all that. So I figured out terrorists are another problem. As I've been healing the fabric of time space, in the realm of the unknown, like for example, where you can't see the other side, kind of like they say ghosts, dead people, apparently. Yeah, their souls, kind. If you kind of get an idea. In Harry Potter series, there's this idea, Miss J.K. Rowling mentions about Sirius. He goes behind a black screen. Yeah, but that's the idea of you can't see, but they're but they're on this. The idea is I've been healing the fabric of time and space, and I discovered why to be on this side of life. Those on the other side are dearly wanting to be on this side, but kind of, yeah. But they got to go through their own clearance processes, have a good reason, and then over time, then they have the substance to maintain being a human. Then, yeah, those who are already having a body that's human. Oh, Pythagoras calculated that it takes 216 years to have another human life. Yeah, I think also that's okay. His calculation was insufficient. His idea of a year was 365 days or so. So, yeah, that's the popular notion. Greeks have an entire year and a moment. Yeah, both calling year. Yeah, a moment could be 1,000 years. Yeah. So your calculation of a year is having a little moment. Yeah. So time space relativity, they say. So Pythagoras made a calculation and then he didn't know what's this year 216 that he's talking about. Surya Namaskar also, 108 Surya Namaskars. You try doing 108 Surya Namaskars, you'll know how long it takes. Yeah. And there are a body, several parts have to move 108 times. That's not simple math. Yeah. Oh, you break your, I mean, it takes some effort. Yeah. And then I discovered movementless yoga covers it 216 years. And then you kind of rebirth. And then there are several other processes while you're alive. In Malayalam, they say, എല്ലൂരുക്കി പണിയെടുക്ക ചോര വെള്ളാക്കി ചക്രശ്വാസം വലിച്ച് ഉണ്ടാക്കിയതാ. So mighty verse came from melting your bones. Shakuni, Mama, had a problem with his father's bones, yeah? Unhealed wounds in the bones, skeletons in the cupboard, they say. So you got to heal the bones by melting and then kind of, um, otherwise it gets ossified and crystallined, cookied into certain ways of being inflexible. And your thought lines is like, this is how we've lived, and hence this is how we should live. That becomes a little problem. You have a difficulty adjusting with changing times or seeing what is better to be maintained. So melting your bones, metabolizing your bones such that they're getting better. Yeah, your stories are getting better. It's your haversion canal. Your containers are only so much. You can only have so much. You got to improve your container to be able to have better. Haversion canals. The networks you build, the ways of looking at life and living at life remains limited. You got to learn how to improve your metabolism, including your bones getting metabolized better. So, എല്ലൂരിക്ക് പണിയെടുക്കാം ചോര വെള്ളാക്കി. Yeah, that means your blood getting clear enough. That's like water. Otherwise, you have um, families. Blood is thicker than water. Yeah, you could be so thick. You have age-old concerns. Yeah, and then where you came from, how are things, and what all you carried from where, and then you're having a difficulty being clear. Yeah, because your toe is so thick. That's not the problem, but there's also so many relationships. Red blood cells, RBC, for example, there is nucleated and enucleated version. Yeah, and your ability to carry iron, hemoglobin. Otherwise, you have anemic concerns. Yeah, humanity cross boundaries concerns. So all kinds of things. So you got to be able to boil kind of blood. Otherwise, you have blood. Ooh, all kinds of even violence practices like this is necessary. Yeah, so blood money, all that. Oh, Gulf people, they have this idea of what this blood money is. Yeah. So you got to boil that, your own blood, such that it becomes clear. Otherwise, you can't live amongst humanity's boundaries. Yeah. You're having like these concerns. You're me versus you. Yeah. Chakra Shwasam Valicha. So people call it as chakra breathing. Yeah. We also have limited perspectives on where the chakras are. Yeah. And then who's going to take care of the other cells and organ systems and so many layers? You will be limited in the seven and seven colors of the rainbow and limited perspectives, only so much, so much. Anything other than that doesn't exist or it's not supposed to exist. And this is how life is supposed to function. Yeah. Anything other than that, you will go into, yeah. And the same drama continues. Or different layers of it. We are all higher vibration. You're so higher vibration, you're limited into seven. Yeah. Your Vedas are limited into seven. Your math is functioning from seven, and you have challenges, and your thinking processes is from seven. You don't know there are other numbers. For example, there's the eight numbers: Ashtanga Yoga, Ashtadigbandhana, Ashtavakra is you. That eight that you know is in a like time. Yeah, you got to straighten it out. Yeah, it's a little, you come to A, but you got technology, you don't know how is the eight proper without it being a vakra. You don't know Ashta Lakshmi, Ashta Dikbandhana.